Welcome everyone to Functional Mobility. Today we will be focusing on our posterior chain, so focusing mostly on our backside with big emphasis on the back of our hips, lats, big back muscles, as well as our hamstrings, calves, etc. So to begin, we'll need our band here, and I believe we did this a few weeks ago, starting with that banded lat stretch. We'll be holding 2 minutes each side. So to get into that, you're going to step into it, palm facing up with the band. Hopefully you can see it here. You're going to loop up and around, thinking elbow up. From that back side, you can see I am holding on, trying to push my elbow up and back, allowing that band to hold me securely in place. Just a reminder, as we're getting through our first minute here, hand should be the only thing actively holding onto the band. Try to relax after you get that initial elbow push back, allowing the band to pull elbow and shoulder backwards into that stretch. Go ahead and come out of it. I always recommend leaning to that side, allowing the band to slough off. Go ahead and switch sides again, stepping into it, palm facing up on that band, looping up and around, initially pushing that elbow back, then just holding onto the band, letting it pull your arm back. We'll do another 2 minutes here. Come out of that one. I don't believe we'll need our band again, so you can go ahead and set it to the side. Next, moving on to bent over lockout rotation. So for that setup, you can stand on your mat, stand wherever. You're going to kind of hip hinge back, Set those hips back so that you can rest one arm, thinking elbow and hand, kind of making a cross here. And then from here, dropping that other arm down and rotating up. We'll be doing 1 minute each side, beginning now. So again, locking out that low back, really focusing on that mid back, rotating up towards the sky, having those eyes follow your hand and your fingers. After that last rep, go ahead and switch sides. So switching elbow onto your knee, hand on the other knee, making that nice cross. And then switching arms again, following that hand with your eyes. After that last rep, go ahead and move to the ground. We'll be moving into our seated back stretch. So begin by getting into that butterfly position, meaning my feet, bottoms of my feet are touching each other, legs making the butterfly of that wing. And then for 3 minutes, we're going to be leaning forward. I would suggest wrapping hands underneath legs to then pull myself towards my feet, feeling that stretch along the back. As you get more comfortable with it, feel free to slide your body down, move your arms a little bit closer to your toes, making sure you're breathing, easing into that stretch. Go ahead and slowly come out of that seated back stretch. For the next minute, we'll be holding a down dog pose. So going into that quadruped position, walking feet back, and then pushing up through our arms, trying to keep our heels on the ground. So you can almost think of my shoulders make a little bit of a pocket. I'm trying to push my head through them as well as pushing through the ground while stretching my calves and my hamstrings by pushing my heels into the ground, trying to make almost like an inverted V position. We've got 1 minute here. Good, and then go ahead and set those knees on the ground. You can drop the hips as well, moving into cobra pose. Another minute here. If this position is too much on that low back, feel free to just drop to your elbows, trying to keep that chest nice and tall, just kind of stretching through the abs, getting the spine moving into extension. You don't have to be up on your toes on your feet. Feel free just to relax them. Good, and then for 1 more minute, we're going to be alternating between those two positions. So down dog to cobra. This is not yoga, so there's no need to do that push-up in between. So all I'm going to have you do is push back on your hands and then lean forward. You can hold each one for a few moments before switching back and forth. Good, we can go ahead and come out of that position. Next, we'll be moving to the wall, having our feet touching the wall on our backs for half lotus. We're going to start with that right side, so crossing that ankle over, that figure four position. We'll be here for 2 minutes on each side. So really thinking about my knee also going towards the wall on the side of the leg that's bent. Using like that figure four position, working the back side of that hip. If you're pretty inflexible like myself, feel free to add a little bit of pressure. Again, it should be uncomfortable, but manageable for those 2 minutes. little under a minute here. Just a reminder to take nice, deep, slow breaths through these stretches and poses. Getting comfortable with the uncomfortable positions. Go ahead and slowly come out of that pose, putting that right foot back on the wall. Now we're going to cross left ankle over right knee, again making that figure 4 position, keeping low back and hips on the ground, trying to push knee towards the wall, feeling that stretch kind of on the back side of the glute. Another 2 minutes here. A little under a minute left. Make sure you're breathing, and if you can, go into that stretch just a little bit deeper. Good. You can go ahead and come out of that position. We'll be rolling over, now having our backs face the wall. You're going to scoot your bottom back all the way and then sitting in a seated straddle position. And for the next minute on each side, we will be doing that rainbow stretch. So taking my left hand, reaching over towards my right side, keeping my back against the wall. Good. Go ahead and come up, and then I'll have you lean over towards that other side. If you can reach over far enough, I find that it's easiest to put my elbow on the ground as I'm reaching over. It's a little less awkward on the shoulder, and you can get a little bit deeper to stretch on that side. Good. Go ahead and come out of that pose. Next, we'll be scooching down our mats, moving into reverse scorpion. So a typical scorpion, we're on our stomach, rolling our legs over and across our back. With that reverse scorpion, we're just doing the reverse. So we're laying on our back, palms down, gives us a little bit more base support. Legs are gonna come up and across. Hold that for just a moment before coming back up, lowering back down and switching legs, repeating that. 2 minutes here. Nice, easy tempo. No need to rush this. If it feels good today, feel free to emphasize that pause. Holding for about 5 seconds before coming back up and switching. Good. Go ahead and pause there. Next, we'll be doing our Samson stretch. So begin on our hands and knees. And then you're going to bring our right leg out. And as you lean forward, bring those arms up and lean towards that right side. We'll be doing a minute here. If holding your arms up in this position for that long is too much, feel free to back off. Pressure on, pressure off. You can also bring hands down, support with your head with that same lean. Or if the lean's just too much altogether, feel free just to lean forward. This should put a little more emphasis on that left hip when we're doing that right side, as we lean out towards the right side. Good. Go ahead and come back to that starting position. Now leading with that left. Do another minute here, beginning with that lean forward into that lunge, then putting arms up overhead and leaning away. Good. Go ahead and come out of that last Samson stretch. Next, we're moving into squat to stands, or bootstrappers, excuse me, as I previously have called them. From here, legs a little wider than hip width, shoulder width apart, reaching down towards those toes, and then dropping into that deep squat, trying to keep chest up tall, elbows on the inside of the knees on that squat, still holding onto those toes, straightening those legs out for that hamstring stretch, back into that squat position, alternating between these two positions. Good, and then from here, our next minute is going to be a forward fold with our feet apart. So kind of determine that distance, whatever feels best for you today. Feet apart, and then reaching down towards the ground. If you want, you can go ahead and bend those elbows up. So allowing more of gravity to push down, feeling deeper into that stretch. If you want that added support, feel free to have hands on the ground. Good. Next, we're going to be walking our feet closer together till they're touching, and then again forward folding. Holding this for one more minute. Try to keep those legs as straight as possible, really emphasizing that stretch along the back of the hamstrings. Come out of that pose. And then for the last 5 minutes of our routine today, we'll be doing that lovely squat against the wall. So back is up against the wall, feet out slightly in front of you, and then from there, lowering down into that deep squat with our back supported. We will be here for 5 minutes to round out our session. Just a reminder with this squat hold against the wall, it's not an active kind of a stretch, so you shouldn't feel like, oh, my muscle's getting tired, I'm cramping. Really lean into that wall for that support to be able to just go into that kind of extended range of motion from your hips and your knees. About halfway through this pose, a reminder, sink a little deeper if you can, keep breathing. Really emphasize your breath coming from your belly rather than your shoulders trying to lift your ribs up and down. Emphasize your belly expanding and contracting. Again, nice this position. It's easy to feel your belly press against your thighs to really know if you are truly doing that belly breath. Got a little under a minute left. If you can, sink down a little bit further into this if possible. Kind of wiggle your feet out a little bit to get that deeper range of motion, still having your back supported against the wall. Good. Go ahead and come out of that pose, whichever way is best for you. I want to thank you all for joining me today. I appreciate your time, your attention. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of mobility work along that posterior chain, putting emphasis a lot on the hips and the back. I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks again.